Hi, this is the moment a lot of you have been waiting for. I'm currently doing the last bit of the prep work that needs to be done on a clay model, especially of this size, prior to latexing. I'm doing a jacket mold, which I will be doing today. So I'll have this thing probably jacket molded and cast by the weekend. That way you have an idea of what it's going to look like. I'm going to be doing it with resin. I added So Strong, which is it's a black coloring that you can add to the resin, so it'll come out black. I won't have to paint it, except for obviously the chrome bits. The eyes, I'll have to cut those out and put lenses in it, which I'll be making myself, and any of the fleshy bits that are on the mask. Now, a lot of things, people, they see a project like this, and some of them know how much time is needed to, or have an idea of how hard it is to do something like this, or how time-consuming. But when you're fine-tuning, like you're going in and you're looking at every little bit, like here you can just make it out. There's a little bit of clay rubbing up against the resin, and in a case like that, take a brush and some water, and I'll just go in and try rubbing that out as best I can. And a lot of the finish work is done with a brush, as far as my stuff goes anyway. Because you'll notice all the, like near the end, near when you're ready to do something like this, is when you'll notice all the little bits and pieces that you want them to look better. The hardest part is anything that's hanging, which is right now the horn. Now I have a plastic an acrylic support underneath this, but it's still a lot of, like, this is not very thick, so it's still a lot of work to get this thing symmetrical and to follow a nice curve. Right now you can see there's a couple bumps through her, and little things like that. Like, you got to take into account that when you're putting pressure to get the bumps out, this thing will spread down. So when you're finished doing that, then you're going to come back through here, and I usually use an X-Acto blade, and because it's nice and straight, and I'll just lightly scrape some clay off of there to get it as smooth and symmetrical as possible. But when you're doing that, then you got to go back and retouch the spine. So it's a lot of time-consuming finish work, especially something like this. When you're going to, this one was a whole lot easier because of the thickness throughout the spine, throughout the horn, right through here. This is my Guyver 1, which I haven't 100% finished yet, and I've got a Valkyrie Guyver there. This one's a lot easier because of the style of the horn. The Valkyrie's a pain in the ass because it's really thin throughout, and Guyver 3, it's because there's no big support through here. It doesn't come in. It's just a straight piece in, and you can see, like right through here, it's not as smooth as I'd like it to be, and the tips are annoyingly difficult to do. But I will have this thing done today. I'm going to leave the forehead ball out, and the two, I guess, nostril bits balls out, because they'll just pop in at the end afterwards. So put this back up on here. Like, doing finish work is not the easiest thing in the world. It's very, very time consuming. And I'm missing a tool. There we go. I rarely use metal tools except for razor blade, X-Acto blade for finish work, because I find the wood just to have an overall better feel, and the fact that there's hardly any weight behind the wood tools is that, you know, if it's just some really light touches that I have to do, I find they're far easier to do with a wooden tool as opposed to metal. Metal's great for doing deep cuts or cutting stuff out that's really tough, because it's nice and strong. But when it comes down to the end, wooden carving tools are my choice by far. And there's little wee details. The brush doesn't always get 100%, so you got to do your best with that. Yeah, I'm pretty much satisfied with the two halves, the two fleshy bits on the sides. Now it's a lot of getting everything as smooth as possible. I'm probably going to spend a better part of an hour getting everything kind of wrinkled out of the body, because when I did my the breather unit, every little detail, every little rub, all that kind of stuff comes out. So you want to be, like, ideally would be to have a mirror finish, but with clay and hands, it's not going to happen. Even with tools, like my Guyver 1 is really smooth right now, but once it gets casted, like the inside of a if we can bring out my this is the latex mold for the breather units for the Guyver 3. And you can see all the little irregularities, but considering, you know, that you're taking raw clay, man-made clay, plasticine, whatever you want to call it, and you're going through the trouble of actually getting a shape. You're doing dimensions. You're measuring a lot of things. I even took these spikes out a couple days ago and sanded them down. Got all the edges as smooth and straight as I could, so that way they look really nice. The spikes will stay in to the model when it gets jacket molded, and I'm going to be doing a slit right down the middle, up the spine, to peel off everything. So it's going to be, this thing's going to be flipped upside down, and I'm going to make enough resin to pour the horn and the spikes first, because to have these things incomplete, bubbles or missing tips would really just drive me nuts. And then once that section is done, then I'll be able to slosh mold the remainder of it, which won't be hard at all. So just wanted to give you an overview of things to come. What am I doing for time? Well, it's almost at the 10-minute mark, and YouTube is really sticky on that. That's why I'm missing the first 2 or 3 parts of my Valkyrie introduction, because they were like 12 minutes long. I even file formatted them to be shorter to take up less space, but YouTube didn't post them, so that sucks. But once I start doing the jacket mold, I'll pop up another video. That way you can see what I do.